We're constantly online, clicking, sharing, liking, searching. And it seems like every single digital move we make, creates data. And I don't know about you, but I've definitely found myself thinking about like who benefits from all that info, all that stuff we're putting out there. Have you ever thought about that?
Oh, absolutely. It's
Have
a
you
huge
thought?
question, right?
Yeah.
Especially with AI growing so fast. All that data we're generating, it's like the fuel that's powering these massive AI systems that we're hearing so much about these days.
Exactly. And there was this news story recently about Reddit, that massive online community. They struck a $60 million deal with Google. And what Google was after was access to all of Reddit's user data to help train their AI. $60 million, that's a lot of money.
Hmm.
But the thing that really stood out to me, the part that really stuck in my head, was that all the people who actually created that content, the millions of Reddit users, they weren't part of that decision at all. And they didn't see a dime of that money.
Hmm.
It just kind of reinforces this feeling I think a lot of us have, this sense that uh, that our digital contributions, that stuff we create online, it's being used and profited from without us really having a say.
Yeah, that Reddit Google deal, it really does kind of sum up this whole trend. For a
Yeah.
long time now, these big tech companies, they've operated under this idea that the data generated on their platforms, it all belongs to them. And now with AI needing more and more data, to get better, to learn, this data has become incredibly valuable.
So we've got this situation, right, where our entire online lives are essentially being used to train these really powerful AI systems. But the people providing the raw material, the data, they're basically left out of the equation. But what if that could actually change? I mean, what if users, everyday people like us could actually own and control their data, especially when it comes to how it's being used in AI development? And that's where this thing called Vana comes in. When I first heard about Vana, it honestly felt like a completely different way of looking at things. It's a network built entirely on this idea of user ownership. And it aims to like flip that power dynamic that we were just talking about.
What's really interesting about Vana is how it completely flips the script.
Hmm.
So instead of these platforms sitting at the top and controlling all the data, Vana is trying to create a system where the individual users, the people, are at the center. So in this deep dive, we're going to really explore how Vana works, like what's going on under the hood,
Mhm.
what motivated the people who created it, and also think about like what this could mean for the future of AI and how we think about our own digital footprint.
Yeah, I'm really interested to get into this. Let's dig a bit deeper into this whole data situation that's going on right now. This Reddit deal, it wasn't a one-off thing, right? This is happening all over the internet, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like a race to get as much data as possible to train AI. Social media platforms, the search engines, all these online services, they're sitting on mountains of user-generated content. And these AI companies, they're willing to shell out huge sums of money to get it. And this trend is only going to get bigger as the AI models get more advanced because they need even larger and even more varied data sets to keep learning.
And this is where Vana comes in with a completely different approach.
Yeah.
So tell me, where did this idea come from? I read somewhere that Vana actually started out as a project at MIT.
That's right. It was a class project,
Yeah.
and the whole concept was to create a data network that was completely owned by the users. Think of it like a digital co-op for your information.
Yeah.
So the way it works is individuals can upload their data to this Vana network, and what's really important here is that these users actually have control over how their data is used. So let's say an AI developer wants to create a new AI model. Well, they basically pitch their idea to the users, right? And if those users agree to let their data be used for that specific model, they don't just give it away. Instead, they get ownership in the AI model that's created.
Okay, so they get a stake in the AI. That just sounds like a total game changer. And I know one of Vana's co-founders, her name is Anna Kozlowskis. She had a really strong vision for this from the start.
Oh yeah, she did. She was very clear about it. And she actually said, and I'm quoting her here, "This data is essential for creating better AI. We've built a decentralized system to access this valuable data, which currently resides within big tech companies, while ensuring users maintain ultimate ownership." So you can see how Vana is all about making better AI, by using data that's ethically sourced and making sure the people who actually generated that data, they get the benefits.
It's funny, I read that Anna Kozlowska, she didn't start out focused on AI or even blockchain. She was actually interested in economics at first, even had an interest in Janet Yellen.
Yeah, that is kind of a surprising detail, right? That makes it more personal. She went to MIT, planning to study economics, but then her path took a sharp turn when she joined the MIT Bitcoin Club back in 2015.
Mm.
That experience was really eye-opening for her because it introduced her to the whole world of blockchains and cryptocurrencies, all these decentralized systems.
Mhm. And her interest wasn't just like surface level, right? I read that she was setting up Ethereum mining in her dorm room,
Yeah.
even like scavenging for computer chips. That sounds like someone who's really diving deep into the tech.
It definitely shows a real commitment. And, she's talked about how it sparked this broader interest in computer science, in networking, and specifically in how these distributed systems like blockchain, which is basically the shared digital record that can't be changed.
Yeah.
She got fascinated by how these systems could shift economic power to individuals. And then she started seeing connections between these ideas and AI and econometrics.
So this early fascination with decentralized systems and, giving power to individuals through tech, it really seems like the foundation of what Vana is all about. So how did the actual idea for Vana come about? Wasn't there another person involved? Artebal, right?
Right, she met Artebal in a class at the MIT Media Lab. It was called Emergent Ventures. And their big question was, how do you enable a ton of different people to contribute data to AI systems, but do it in a way that's distributed? They were specifically looking for alternatives to the ways AI is usually trained, like scraping data from public websites or buying massive data sets, because neither of those methods really involve or benefit the people who created the data in the first place.
And it's interesting that her experience after graduating working at Celo, which is this financial blockchain company, that also played a role, didn't it? And the ongoing connection with MIT and Ramesh Resker, that seems important too.
Absolutely. I mean, her time at CeeLo probably gave her all these practical insights into blockchain and building real-world systems that are decentralized. And staying connected with MIT and Ramesh Raskar, he teaches that Emergent Ventures class, that suggests Vana's still really plugged into that cutting-edge AI research that's happening at MIT. Kozlowski has actually said that MIT gave her this open-ended opportunity to just build, hack, and explore, and she said that was really important in shaping how Vana approaches innovation and experimentation.
Okay, so we've got the why behind Vana, but let's get into the how. How does Vana actually work for someone who wants to use it? Like, how do they actually get their data onto this platform? And then how is that data used to train AI?
All right, so this is where it gets really interesting. Vana uses this part of data privacy regulations
Hmm.
that a lot of people don't even know about. But it basically allows users on most of the big online platforms to export their data, to download a copy of it. And Vana provides tools and infrastructure to make this process super easy. And once a user exports their data, it's uploaded to their own encrypted digital wallet inside the Vana network. So it's kind of like you're taking back your digital stuff from these big platforms and putting it in your own safe.
So you're in control. It's like having your own digital vault.
Exactly. And once your data's in that Vana wallet, you get to decide how it's used. So let's say an AI developer comes along and they've got this idea for a new open source AI model. They'll propose their idea to the Vana community, and then users can decide if they want to contribute their data to help train that model. And this often happens within these groups called data DAOs. It stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, but basically you can think of it as like a group of people coming together to decide how their data should be used. You've got this collective bargaining power for your data.
Data DAO. So you're teaming up with other people to make decisions about how your data is used.
Exactly. And this opens up possibilities that go beyond just training AI models for everyone. Because each user still owns their own data, it also means you could create AI models that are personalized for just one person, or even create AI agents, like digital assistants, that are tailored to a specific individual's needs.
That's amazing. But of course, the big concern for everyone is privacy. How does Vana make sure that a user's data isn't out there for everyone to see when these models are being trained?
That's a really important point. Privacy is a top priority.
Hmm.
So Vana uses what are called privacy-preserving techniques. That means the AI can learn from the data, it can pick up on the patterns and the insights in the data, but it never actually sees your personal details.
So the AI is learning from the data, but it can't see your name or any identifying information.
Exactly. And remember, the reward for contributing your data is that you actually get ownership in the AI model itself. What does that mean for the user? It means that if that model goes on to be used by other developers, or if it's used in new apps, the users who contributed their data to train it, they get a share of any money that's made from that model. It's like owning a little piece of that technology. So it gives people a real incentive to share their data because there's a tangible benefit.
It completely flips the script, right? Instead of our data making big tech companies more valuable, it could actually be generating value directly for us. And I remember Anna Kozlowska has talked about how this could lead to things like hyper-personalized healthcare apps.
Yeah, she used that example to show just how powerful this could be. Think about it. Right now, our health data is all over the place. It's in different apps, it's at our doctor's offices, it's on our wearable devices,
Yeah.
it's siloed, right? But Vana could actually give us the power to bring all that data together, with our consent, of course, and use it to train AI models that could provide incredibly personalized health insights and recommendations. That's something that's almost impossible right now because the data is all over the place.
So this isn't just some idea on paper, it's actually happening.
Yeah.
Are there any real-world examples of how Vana is being used? I know there was a thing with Reddit data.
Yeah, last year, a machine learning engineer, they proposed using Vana user data to train an AI model specifically for generating Reddit posts, to try to create a bot that could write posts that sound like they were written by real people on Reddit. And it was amazing. Over 140,000 Vana users actually contributed their Reddit data, like their posts, their comments, their messages, everything. And what's important is that these users, they all decided together on the rules for how the model could be used, and they kept ownership of it once it was created. It's a great example of how powerful this user-driven approach can be.
140,000 users, wow. And it wasn't just Reddit, was it? There were other projects too, right?
Right, they've done similar things with data from X, which was called Twitter before, and also with data from those sleep trackers, the Aura Rings. What's really exciting is the potential to combine these different data sources. Kozlowski actually talked about how, imagine if you could combine your Spotify listening data with your Reddit activity and your fashion purchases. Normally, those platforms would never, or even legally couldn't, work together like that. But through Vana, users can basically give permission to create these data sets that span across different platforms, and that could lead to some really powerful and insightful AI models.
It's like breaking down all those walls between the different platforms and creating something totally new. So how is Vena doing overall? How many people are actually using it? And how many of these data DAOs are up and running?
The numbers are looking really good. Right now, Vana has over 1 million users and more than 20 data DAOs that are active. And there are even more, over 300 that have been proposed. And they're expecting a lot of those to launch this year. So you can see the momentum building, and there's a real desire among users to take control of their data and be a part of this new way of developing AI.
It's amazing. And Anna Kozlowska seems really optimistic about the bigger picture, too, like how this could lead to even more powerful general AI and advancements in personalized medicine.
Oh, yeah. She sees Vana as this key that can unlock progress in those areas because it can bring together these incredibly diverse data sets. And until now, access to that kind of comprehensive data, it's been a huge roadblock. She believes Vana can lead to entirely new consumer applications that we haven't even thought of yet. It's really exciting.
Let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. Kozlowska uses this term data moats to describe big tech companies. Can you explain what she means by that and how Vana is trying to address it?
So a data moat, it's like a metaphor. It refers to the advantage that big tech companies have just because they control so much data. It's like a protective barrier around them, right? And this makes it almost impossible for smaller companies and researchers to get access to the kind of high-quality data they need to develop their own AI, so it can really stifle innovation. And Kozlowski makes a good point that a lot of the most valuable data, it's locked away inside these big corporations. So what Vana is trying to do is solve something called the collective action problem. It's basically this idea that one person's data on its own, it might not be that useful for training a big AI model, but if you can pool together data from tons of people, it becomes extremely powerful. And that's what Vana provides, that platform and the incentive for people to come together and create these valuable data pools, and then they own those pools.
So it's not just about individual users getting something back, it's about fostering more competition and more innovation in the whole AI space by making data more accessible.
Right, it's like a win-win. Users get to participate in the financial upside of AI, because they own part of it. But at the same time, it helps prevent any one company from becoming too powerful by controlling all the data needed to build super advanced AI. So, as Kozlowska says, it's about creating better technology that benefits everyone.
Okay, let's bring it all together. Vana is presenting this fundamentally different way of thinking about who owns our online data and how artificial intelligence is actually developed. It's really putting the user at the center, and it's a direct challenge to the way things work now. where these big tech companies are basically in control of our data and they benefit the most from it.
That's a great way to summarize it. Vana is offering this vision where we're not just passively feeding data into these systems, we're active participants and we have control over our own information. And not only that, we can actually benefit directly from the AI that our data helps create.
It makes you think, right? I mean, all that data we generate every day, what if we had more say in how it was used? What if it could actually work for us in a real way? It raises all sorts of interesting questions about the future of AI and how power is balanced in this digital world we live in. So maybe it's worth taking a minute to think about what data we're each creating and what it might be worth if we had more control over it in a system like Vana. Thanks for exploring all this with me.